Yamato, the legendary battleship named after the ancient heartland of Japan, was hailed as the most powerful warship ever built by mankind. Designed to take on multiple enemy fleets at once, Yamato embodied the ambition of the Imperial Japanese Navy, a dream of dominance over the Pacific. But despite being considered unsinkable, Yamato's career lasted only a few short years before ending in tragedy, consumed by the skies above Okinawa under relentless American carrier aircraft. What truly doomed this steel behemoth? The overwhelming might of the US Navy, or Japan's own flawed strategy? Today, we uncover the dramatic final voyage of this floating fortress. Welcome to Thronewake channel. This is the story of a hopeless duel on the high seas. After Pearl Harbor, the United States was no longer a sleeping giant but a furious titan, joining the Allies with one mission: to crush Japan. By early 1945, the US set its eyes on Okinawa, the largest of the Ryukyu Islands. Its deep water ports and airfields made it the perfect springboard for an invasion of the Japanese homeland. For Japan, losing Okinawa meant losing the war. With no choice left, the Imperial Navy devised a desperate one-way mission. At the heart of this suicide gamble was Yamato, the most formidable battleship ever launched, intended to become a stationary fortress to defend the beaches. Yet the plan would collapse in the face of overwhelming American air power. By this point in the war, the Japanese fleet was a shadow of its former self, crushed in the Solomon Islands and the Philippines. Nearly every major warship had been sunk or forced into hiding. But in April 1945, with Okinawa under attack, Tokyo ordered the last of its might to sea under Operation Tengo. On April 6th, Yamato and her escorts sailed out with just enough fuel for a one-way journey. Their mission: charge into Okinawa, beach themselves if necessary, and fight to the last shell. Yamato would use her massive guns as coastal artillery, a final act of defiance. But American intelligence had already broken Japan's codes. US submarines and reconnaissance planes shadowed Yamato's every move. Though the Japanese fleet evaded submarines and even dodged bombs from B-29s, they could not escape the eyes of American radar. By dawn on April 7th, the trap was set. The US task force, with 11 aircraft carriers and nearly 400 planes, moved in. Against them, Yamato had her escorting destroyers and heavy anti-aircraft. Fire brave but hopelessly outnumbered. At 12:20, Yamato's radar picked up incoming aircraft. Within minutes, swarms of American dive bombers and torpedo planes descended. The battleship's sky blackening flacked or through the air, but US pilots pressed home their attack. Bombs ripped into Yamato's decks, while torpedoes slammed into her port side, causing the massive vessel to list. Escort destroyers were picked apart one by one, leaving the giant increasingly exposed. Wave after wave came. Another torpedo barrage flooded her engine rooms. In desperation, Captain Aruga ordered counter-flooding to keep Yamato upright, sealing the fate of hundreds of men trapped below decks. By the third assault, Yamato was struck by 5 bombs and 7 torpedoes in rapid succession. The world's largest battleship was now mortally wounded. Listing heavily, she could barely maneuver. US pilots, believing the giant might escape, launched yet another strike, landing 3 more torpedo hits. At last, the mighty warship rolled past the point of no return. Officers ordered surviving sailors to abandon ship, but they themselves remained aboard, choosing to die with their vessel. Moments later, Yamato's forward magazine ignited. The explosion was apocalyptic. A fireball erupted 2 kilometers into the sky, followed by a mushroom-shaped cloud towering 6 kilometers high, so vast it resembled an atomic blast. The shockwave rattled aircraft in the area, damaging some in mid-air. Witnesses said the roar carried for nearly 200 kilometers. Yamato's death was swift and absolute. Of her crew of more than 2,700 men, only 276 survived. Nearly 2,500 souls were lost in the inferno, alongside the pride of the Japanese Navy. The US, though victorious, did not escape unscathed. Kamikaze attacks ravaged American ships around Okinawa, damaging the battleship, Maryland, the carrier Hancock, and several destroyers. But compared to Japan's loss, the cost was minimal. The sinking of Yamato marked more than just the end of a ship, it symbolized the death of an entire era. The age of the great battleship, with its massive guns and thick armor, was over. In its place, the aircraft carrier now reigned supreme. What made Yamato truly tragic was not just her destruction, but the fact she was obsolete before she ever sailed into battle. While her 18-inch guns could obliterate any surface target within 40 kilometers, her enemies could strike from 300 kilometers away without ever being seen. Admiral Yamamoto had long warned of this, insisting that Japan's resources be poured into carriers, not colossal battleships. He saw clearly that the future of naval warfare belonged to air power. But his vision was ignored, and the Yamato was built anyway, a masterpiece of steel, born into the wrong time. In the end, Yamato was a giant out of place, a relic of an older war forced into a new one it could not win. Her final voyage was not just a battle, it was a symbolic funeral for the age of the battleship. The ship that once represented Japan's greatest dreams became, in her fiery end, the embodiment of its darkest defeat, Yamato. The right ship, but at the wrong time. The fall of Yamato is more than the story of a battleship, it's a reminder that even giants can fall. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe for more untold history, turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter, and share this video to keep these lessons alive. History's echoes aren't behind us, they shape the world we live in today.